The divided kingdom. Israel was God's chosen nation of people, the Jews, Hebrews. At one point in time, Israel had judges. You might recall in the Old Testament, the book of Judges, some like Deborah, the woman judge, and Samson, probably a very common name, but they had judges to help be their deliverers. But they wanted a king. In 1 Samuel 8, verse 4 starting, then all the elders of Israel gathered together, came to Samuel at Ramah, said to him, behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a king to judge us like all the nations. There's a whole lesson there, isn't there? Looking at other nations and wanting to be like them, but they wanted a king. They didn't want the judges anymore. They were warned what would happen with help from God through Samuel. And 1 Samuel 8, verse 11, he said, these will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons, point them to his chariots, to be his horsemen, and to run before his chariots. He will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, some to plow his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his implements of war and the equipment of his chariots. So they're told some of the minuses, the negatives of having a king and what it would be like. But they insisted, didn't they? Israel insisted. 1 Samuel 8, verse 19, but the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, no, but there shall be a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. There's a transition then, isn't there, from the time of the judges to the kings. Samuel, that young boy from the temple with Eli, is the last judge. And 1 Samuel 8, verse 6, the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, obey the voice of the people and all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. So God says they've rejected me. This is a pretty familiar verse to a lot of Bible students. Saul, a man named Saul, was appointed the first king over Israel. And 1 Samuel 9, verse 15, the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed to Samuel, tomorrow about this time I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. You shall anoint him to be prince over my people Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines. For I've seen my people because of their cry has come to me. When Samuel saw Saul, the Lord told him, here is the man of whom I spoke to you. He it is who shall restrain my people. So Saul was going to be the king. So the kingdom divides after this. We see that Saul was that first king we just talked about. And instead of his son Jonathan becoming king, David becomes next king. And then David, is followed by his son Solomon, the son of Bathsheba, David's wife. But Solomon sins, and the kingdom is divided after Solomon's reign. 1 Kings 11, verse 11 starting, therefore the Lord said to Solomon, since this has been your practice, you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom from you and will give it to your servant. Yet for the sake of David, your father, I will not do it in your days, but I will tear it out of the hand of your son. So as we look at a graphic of this, Saul the first king, followed by David. Then David is followed by his own son Solomon. And Solomon, since he sins, is followed by his son Rehoboam, and Rehoboam is king of the southern tribe of what we call Judah, and another man called Jeroboam becomes king of the northern tribes, basically 10 tribes, and the kingdom is divided north and south, Israel and Judah, and eventually, and a great large part of Old Testament history is that first Israel, the northern, Jeroboam, is going into Assyrian captivity because of sin. And finally, the southern tribes of Judah go into Babylonian captivity because of sin. And there's a map which was on our opening slide showing that the divided kingdom, Israel and Judah and the Holy Lands, if you will, that Bible students are familiar seeing that map with Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea and so forth. So hopefully you have an understanding of what we mean when we say the divided kingdom.